Thank you. Um, yeah, what else? What are the five levels of headings? And yeah, what does level one heading look like? And what does level two heading look like?
I just know that it is level 1, level 2, level 3, but I don't know what are the names for them.
Yeah, they are called five levels of headings, and it's just called level one heading, level two heading, and level three heading, level four and level five heading. That's it. But how do we type a level one heading?
It's bold, it's the same font size, and
Yes.
all caps. I mean,
Um,
sentence case caps.
yes. Yeah. Title case, sorry. It's not
Ah,
an
thank
title
you.
case. Yeah. So bold, uh, the same font size. It is title cased. And what else? We missed on something in the level one heading. Is it flushed left or is it centered?
Flush left.
I
Yes.
think level one is centered, and then the rest of them are flush left. Okay, so what does level two heading look like?
Flush left.
It's, yeah, flush.
Flush left and bold and italic, right? Okay, we'll do a little bit of revision on that, maybe.
And second is not italic. It's the third, I think.
Oh, yeah, correct. 1 second. I'm also a little confused. 1 second. Yeah, right. Flush left, bold, title case heading. And then the third one is flush left, bold, italic, and title case heading. Then comes your fourth, which is indented, bold, title case heading, and ending with a period. The fifth one is indented, bold, italic, title case heading, ending with a period. This is where we stopped, right? And somebody else also actually typed in the cover page, title page. Everything is centered, the topic is bold, and then followed by the name, institute, then the subject, teacher's name, and due date. Very good. And all of that is double spaced, but then the space between the title and the name would be twice the double space, and then the rest of it is double spaced. Topic is in bold. All of it is centered. Okay, great. Awesome. I think you all remember. It's not possible for us to remember all these details, but then as you keep practicing this, you would get better at it. But I would recommend you all to refer to the book, refer to the format, which is already uploaded there in the Moodle. Anytime you're doing any of your assignments, everything, all the details, instructions are already there. All you have to do is to just refer to it. For now, we're just going through the styles so that you can remember the basics. But then when you're actually writing your assignments or doing a submission, a paper submission, refer to the book so that you know all the instructions are mentioned over there. All right. Okay. So today we will be covering the references part. We just finished the heading level ones and all the level twos. There's an example over here. This is a level one heading. What you're seeing right now is a level one heading, and there's something very interesting that you also have to understand when you're starting something with an introduction. We don't have to use the word introduction as a heading. That it is automatically understood. It is understood that it is an introduction, so you don't have to use the word introduction as a heading. You just start with an indentation and then continue the introduction. Then these two headings that you're seeing over here are examples for a level 2 heading. These are some samples for you to understand how a level 1 and a level 2 heading looks like. Now we'll understand what to do with the reference list. Last class, we learned about how to make the title page. Basically, there are three parts of your submission. One is your title page, then followed by your text. And after your text, it is followed by your reference list. So we looked into the title page, we looked into the text, and now we're coming to the reference list. How one has to make a reference list is what we're looking into right now. Okay. Reference list provides reliable way for the readers to locate the works authors cite to acknowledge previous scholarship. References are used to document and substantiate statements made about the literature, just as data in the paper are used to support interpretations and conclusions. So why are we using a reference list? So that anybody who is referring to your paper later on, okay, whatever you've written, anybody who wants to refer to your paper at a later part of time would be able to locate the works that you are citing easily. There's a reason why we are using reference list. Probably you are citing when you're, during your, when you're actually doing the writing part. I'm sure when you're referring to another person's work, you would surely have to cite it, but that alone may not help. Your reference list will give you a proper location. When you're doing a citation, you probably will just use the author's name and the year the book was published. You don't know where the excerpt is actually taken from. You don't know the exact details or the location of the book. But reference list looks into the details. It gives you a proper location of everything that you have cited. So did you understand what I just now mentioned? Did you understand the difference between citation and references? We will also look into what citation is all about little later, but I thought I'll take you through references first and then take you to citation. Do you understand what citation is, by the way? I know I have not explained citation at all, but I just want to know if anybody knows what citation is. Any idea what citation is?
An already published work, you refer that paper here. So just with an author and a year, like you mentioned.
Yes.
And if it comes in the reference, then it's the long.
Yes. True. So when you're doing your work, let's say you were asked to do an assignment and probably you are referring to multiple books. Let's say I have given you an assignment on write a brief, history about the evolution of psychology or history of psychology in the Indian context. That's the homework that I have given you to do. And when I asked you to do about, writing briefly about the history of psychology in Indian context, I'm sure you'll all refer to various books, correct? You won't just write based on what you know, but I'm sure you'll all go back and refer to books and then write the history of psychology in the Indian context, right? Now, when you're doing that, it is not your work. Basically you're referring to somebody else's work and you're making a secondary observation of it and you're submitting it to your teacher, correct? Meaning I'm referring to other people's work. Now when you're doing that, you can't quote that as your own work. Instead you are mentioning a citation telling that I have adapted or I have drawn this excerpt from a particular resource, and this is the resource that I have relied on. Making sense? Are you all understanding what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So when you're referring to books and when you're drawing information from a particular resource, you have to cite that resource. You can't just leave it individually hanging there without a citation. You have to use a citation. But when you're using citations, you may not use the extensive location of, the name of the book, the year it is published, the author who has published the book. You're not mentioning all those details. When you're citing, you will only mention the author's name and the year it is published. That's it. Reference list, on the other hand, is an expansion of citation. Let's say I have taken an excerpt from a particular textbook and I have used that in my submission, and so I have cited it using the author's name, let's say some Bhaskar, and then the book is published in 1991. So I'm just using that excerpt from a book using an inverted comma, and then I would be using the citation, let's say Bhaskar 1991. That's it, the citation is done. Will anybody able to Would you be able to find out, the location of that excerpt just based on the citation that is given in your text? Did you all understand my question? Probably. Do you want me to repeat my question? Am I going too fast?
Yes, ma'am. Could you please repeat it one more time?
Repeat the question? Sure, I will. I'm just saying, let's say, okay, let's forget about the reference list for 2 minutes, okay? I'm talking about your assignments, okay? When you're doing assignments, for example, let's say I've given you all an assignment to write history of psychology in the Indian context. Okay, that's my assignment for you all. Let's just assume that's an assignment. What would you all be doing when I give you an assignment like that?
Some form of research would be like
Some
shuffling
form
between
of
multiple articles.
Yes, some form of research. What do you mean, some form of research?
Go up on Google and search for them.
Work on Google and search for them, meaning you're looking for resources, right? Like you're searching on Google, you're searching for books, you're searching for a previously published resource so that you can gather that information and you can put it in your homework, correct? Right? You can put that entire thing in your homework. But the problem is when you're adapting information from an already published resource, you can't just copy paste it. It's called plagiarism if you're not quoting another person's work and just quoting it as yours. Am I making sense? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
So, in order to avoid plagiarism, I am referring to books, I am referring to Google, I am referring to various resources that will give me information about history of psychology, and I'm also avoiding plagiarism, and so I will cite. Okay, citation is to just let us know, let your teachers know that I have drawn information from a particular resource. Okay, and so you are citing that resource. Now how do you cite? Usually when you're citing, you will just mention the author's last name and the year the book is published. Now let's say you're referring to a book written by some author called Bhaskar, and the book is published in the year 1991. Okay, let's just assume that way. And you are writing the history of psychology in the Indian context, and this is the book that you refer to by an author called Bhaskar, and he has published his book in the year 1991. So when you're writing it in your assignment, probably you might have drawn an excerpt. Okay, you would just wanted to copy paste a quote, a chunk of quote from that one book, and so you're copy pasting that chunk of it into your assignment. At the end of that copy paste of that paragraph, you will just mention the name of the author and you're mentioning the year it is published. Okay, is that making sense? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Any questions, people? Any questions? Okay, so my question right now is, when you're writing an assignment like that, okay, I have drawn an excerpt from a particular book and I have cited that excerpt, meaning at the end of the paragraph, I've mentioned the author's name and the year it is published. Okay, now my question is, will I be able to, now as your teacher, as your instructor, I'm going through your submission and I'm reading that, oh, okay, this is an excerpt drawn from a particular book and the book is written by somebody called Bhaskar and it is published in 1991. Will I be able to retrieve the exact location?
No.
Why?
Because the author would have written many books, ma'am, and on the
Yes.
same year, right?
Right.
So the year and the name will not give us the full detail of the particular para.
Correct. Correct. And that is why we need reference list. Okay. So what are we mentioning in the reference list? The reference list is an expansion of all the citations you have made. Now, let's say I said some Bhaskar 1991. So in my reference list, I will mention the expansion of that citation, meaning the name of the book, the name of the author, the year it is published, and the publisher's name. All the details it requires, I'll be mentioning that in the reference list. So that's the difference between your citation and reference list. Now, when you're talking about reference list, your reference list will help the readers to locate all that you have mentioned in your text. Okay, to locate all the resources and the text that you've mentioned. Your reference list will actually help the readers to locate all of it. Okay, where is it taken from? Which book is it taken from? What is the edition of the book? Now, whatever books you're referring to, it has various versions of it, and then every 5 years the edition is changing, right? There is a fifth edition, there's a sixth edition, there's a seventh edition, meaning there is an edition, there is an edition that is actually going on, meaning people are editing it, people are correcting it, and people want to refine it more better. So when you're drawing an excerpt from a book, we have to also mention what edition we are following. So all those details will be mentioned in the reference list. Am I clear with this? Are you all understanding what we're discussing about references over here? Okay, we looked into the title page, meaning the cover page. You have a cover page where to whom you are addressing, to who you are, all those details are mentioned over there. And then there is a text. Text is basically your assignment that you're asked to do. And then the last part of your assignment, the last part of your submission is reference list. Now, this reference list is something that is providing your readers to locate the works of the authors that you have cited in your homework. Basically, it's just that, a location, a directory to just refer to help all your readers to locate the authors that you are referring to, the books that you are referring to, the works you are referring to. So how do we write the reference list? This is the instructions that are given over here to write your reference list. Okay, we will start the reference list in a fresh page. So your title page is in a fresh page. You finish your title page and then you're moving on to a fresh new page where you will start your text. Okay, now after you finish your text, you're moving on to a fresh page, which is called as reference list. Usually, I have a question for all of you right now. Okay, this is nothing to do with your reference list, but I have a question. Okay, when you finish a paragraph and you're starting a new topic in your submission, in your homework, okay, and then we see that this new topic, the heading of the new topic is just coming at the end of the line in the, in the page, at the bottom of the line. What do you do? Do you keep it there at the bottom of the line, or do you move it to the next page because it is the heading? Did you understand my question?
We usually try to move to the next page.
Okay, but according to APA, what do we do?
We should
We
not
leave it there.
do it. It should be there on the same page.
It should be there on the same page. So even if the heading is, just at the bottom, you're not moving it to the next page. You're not starting anything afresh. It's just a flow. It's a continuation, and you're leaving it the way it is. So if the heading is coming at the bottom of the line, let the heading be there. So we're not moving it onto the fresh page. So this is something very, very important. And this will also be noticed and observed when you're doing your APA writing style. And all of this will carry marks. When you're submitting your assignments, your APA writing skills are evaluated. And probably a basic 5 mark will be given to it. Let's say you're doing a 15 mark assignment. I'm sure a 5 mark is just given to your APA writing skills. Okay, so please be very careful when you're, to follow the APA style instructions, and all of these minute details will be looked into. So the title, even if it is falling at the, on the last line of the page, you're leaving it the way it is. You're not moving it to the next page. Now, that being said, when we are talking about references, your references will not stay at the last line of the page. References is a different section altogether. So your reference list will start in a fresh page. Am I making sense? Are you all understanding what I'm saying? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So you are starting the reference list on a new page after the text and before any tables, figures, and any appendices that you use. Okay. So you'll finish the attachments. All the attachments will be done after the text, and after the attachments are done, you're starting your reference list on a fresh page. Now you have to label the page, label the reference list as references. Okay. And this will be title cased, this will be bold, and this will be centered. I mean, just references, bold, title cased, and center. So you're starting your fresh page called references, and the label of that page is called as references. That will be bold and centered and title cased. It's just going to be like this, references. Okay. Now, after that, everything will be double spaced, like how it is with all the other, material that you've typed in. This is also going to be double spaced, meaning there's no difference between the space between the title and the references that you're adding. All of that is going to be double space. Am I making sense? Any doubts about this? Is that clear? I'll show you how we do it, but then we'll first look into the instruction and then look into the example too. Okay, so everything is double spaced. Okay, then we are also using a hanging indent for all the references, meaning the first line of each reference will be flush left. Okay, it is left margin, it is flush left. And then the second line will be followed with a 0.5 inch of indent. So there is a 0.5 inch of indent. So you tab it and then it moves to the, with a space. So this style is called as hanging indent. Am I making sense? Any questions about this? Are you all understanding?
When we say that, can you explain that a little bit, please? Like, I understand the formatting of it. I'm just trying to figure the use case of it rather.
Right. Okay. If you look at this example, there is a reference list over here, right? The first line is flushed left. Are you all able to see the example that's given over here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So there is a reference list at the bottom. Are you all able to see the reference list? The reference list here. Are you all able to see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Is the pointer visible, the red pointer?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this is a reference list, right? Like I am entering my references over here. If you see, it started with flush left. Okay. So I started with the author's name. I'll take you through the format of how to do the reference, but let's just look into the spacing. Okay. The reference list starts with flush left, and then the first line is done. Following the second line, there is an indentation, a 0.5 inch indentation, meaning there is a space given, and then the second line is followed by. Did you understand that? Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Just follow-up question to that, if you could please just go to that.
Yes. Yeah. 1 minute. I'm just trying to find a better place to show you the example. Yes, please. 1
So
minute.
I was
Lost it. Yeah. Yes, please. What is the question?
Yes, the question is, so are we saying that, okay, for example, if I'm just reading what's there, right? We say sensitivity to evaluation. So I'm guessing that's the name of the book, and development psychology is probably the subtext of the main name. Is that how we understand it?
Yes, but we're still not looking into the parts of this right now.
No, so no, my question is both of this is part of the same reference line then.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Yes, all of this is the same thing. This is the reference of this particular thing.
Understood, understood.
Okay, and so when it is flowing down to the next line, some references, they all fall in one line. Let's say if the title of the book is just one word or just two words, okay, like developmental psychology, that let's say it's just that, it probably will fall in one line. If it is falling in one line, let it be. Sometimes when you're writing your references, it flows on to the second line and the third line and the fourth line, depending on the length of the resource that you are referring to. Okay, now when that happens, when the reference is flowing down to the second line, third line, fourth line, and following, what we do is the first line is always left flushed left, and the following lines are indented by a 0.5 inch. Is that making sense? Are you all understanding what we're discussing over here? Okay.
Is that like one tab space or
Yes,
more?
one tab space. One tab space, and then the second line, the one tab space, third line, one tab space, fourth line. If the references is that long, that's how you do it. Now, this is all one single reference of one particular resource. So if you're writing a reference of one single reference, and if the reference is long, this is how we follow. The first line is always going to be flushed left, and the second line will be indented by 0.5. And if there is again a third line for the reference, it is also going to be indented by 0.5 inch, which is one tab basically. Okay. So yes, we start with something called as reference list as the label of the page. Then we are writing the references. Everything is double spaced. The first line is left flushed, following by a hanging indent, which means you are having an indentation of 0.5 inches in the second line, third line, and the following lines. So use paragraph formatting if if you want to use it in the word processing, if you're using a word processing program, it is automatically done. You can use a paragraph formatting function for your reference list. For the order of works in the reference list, you can refer to these sections, which you have it in Moodle. It is all uploaded in Moodle. Okay. Now let's look at the format of how you are referring to any source. Now, when you're looking into the format, we see that your format always begins with the author's name, followed by a date, then the title, and then the source of it. Okay, so this is how the format of any reference is. It is followed by author, date, title, and source. Is that clear to everybody? Is my pointer visible? Author, date, title, and the source. This is how you format it. Any book, anything that you're referring to will follow this format. It starts with the author's name, followed by the date it is published, then the title of the book or title of whatever your resource is, and then followed by the source. Okay, now for example, this is actually a journal article. Okay, and this is taken from American Psychological Journal, Association Journal. Now the topic of the book, the topic is sensitivity to evaluation of others emerges by 24 months. That's the title of whatever that you are referring to. Now, developmental psychology is the resource. It's the journal, it's the volume, it's the journal volume in the American Psychological Association. So in American Psychological Association, you again have different sections. Okay. Developmental psychology is one section. And in developmental psychology, it has different volumes of it. So you're looking into various volumes, and then in that particular volume, you're finding this particular topic. Okay, so we see that these Sarah Valencia Botto and Philip Ruchat are the authors of this particular article. And we also notice that, this is the source where this article is published. And you also find the date. It is published in 2018. Now, how do you enter a reference list? You'll start with the author's name, usually their surnames followed by their initials. Okay. And period, the date, which is in parenthesis. After the date, you will mention the title, which is Sensitivity to Evaluation of Others Emerges by 24 Months. After the title, you're mentioning the resource, which is Developmental Psychology, so and so. That's the resource that you will be mentioning. Now, this is the format we will be following for anything. Okay. Is that clear, everybody? Are you all understanding?
Ma'am, so we don't necessarily mention the journal's name?
No, it's the resource is enough to locate it. Or you can actually also talk about American Psychological Association and developmental psychology and all of this.
How about if you're using YouTube links or any other?
Yeah, we have
They
different,
have a different
yes,
format.
we have formats for that also. We'll look into that as well.
Ma'am,
Okay.
so the one question, ma'am. So the author's name, the date, and the title will be in one line, like in the same.
Exactly. So that's the point. Sometimes it may not come in one line, depending on the length of the author's name, length of the title. Sometimes if the author's name and the title are short, probably it will come in one line. If the author's name and the title are long, it may flow down to the second line. So if it is actually flowing down to the second line, then you'll indent it.
Okay. But the
have a
source should
question.
be in a different line, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, ma'am. The source should be in a totally different line.
No,
from the
no,
author.
nothing as such. This is only to
Okay.
do, there's nothing as such. You are, if it is flowing down to the second line, indentation is required. That's all it is.
If we have a where there are multiple authors and you have actually taken one part of that article and not article, say chapter. So there are like 5 authors and you've taken chapter number
Right.
3 and there's a different author. And then do you put all the authors there or you put
No.
only one?
No. You will use one author's name and then followed by et al. Okay, that's how you use it. But we'll look into those details a little later. Okay, we'll first look into the basics and then we'll look into the details of it. Okay, so this is the format that you will be using. The author's name followed by the title, sorry, the date, title, and the source. That's the format that you will be using. Author, date, title, and the source. Okay.
Ma'am, what is the spacing between title and resource?
What is the
spacing between title and resource?
There is, you just follow the okay. You're just following the simple spacing. There is no particular spacing as such. But if it is flowing down, it is flowing down. You don't have any particular spacing. All of this is, I mean, sometimes it comes in one single line and sometimes it may not come in one single line. And if it is not coming in one single line, then you're using a 0.5 indentation, which is one tag.
It's double spacing you mentioned, right? No?
That is between the two lines. If you're talking about title and source, there is no spacing between these two. When you're talking about two lines, it is double spacing. But when you're talking about title and source, there is no space. Am I making sense? Are you understanding? Yeah. So there's no
Can you come again on that?
This part is not clear.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're using two lines, it is double spaced. But if you're talking about author, date, title, source, the spacing is normal. You don't have any specific spacing between author and date and title and source. Is that making sense?
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, what if the title is very long and goes on to the second line? We have to indent it there.
Yes, you will just indent it. Yeah.
And then for the source, we again indent it?
No. It just continues.
Okay. Oh, it just continues on the, oh, got it.
In the same line.
Okay.
Ma'am, so should be in italics?
Yes.
Is it mandatory?
Yes, it has to be in italics, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the author, date, title, and source. Now let's look at the author's name. Write the byline on the, okay. Why are we looking at the byline format here? Just a minute. Okay, so these are the examples that you can look into. Okay, now when you're writing reference list, sometimes it may be possible that you may not have all the details. Let's say sometimes you may have a missing author's name, and then probably you may have the date, title, and the source, but you do not know who the author is. It could be possible. Sometimes you may have the author's name, but you may not know when it is published. The date might be missing. You may have the title, you may have the source. Sometimes you may have the author's name, date, and title. Probably you do not know where the resource is from. So what do we do at times when you have information missing? Okay, so that is what this entire table is talking about. So it begins with, nothing missing at all. So when nothing is missing, you'll just provide the author's name, date, title, and source of the work. Okay, and how do you do the reference entry? You'll mention the author's name, period, date in parenthesis, which is the brackets that you're seeing. You open the bracket, mention the year, date as in just the year, close the parenthesis, and then a period. Then you mention the title, period, and then the source. So you're separating all of these elements with a period. Okay, so there is an author's name, there's a period, then you're mentioning the date in the brackets, period, then you're mentioning the title, period, and then the source. So when there is nothing missing, it's usually the author's name, date, title, and the source. And when you're doing an in-text citation, it is either author and the year in the parenthesis, or author's name outside the parenthesis and just the year in the parenthesis. We'll look into the kind of citation little later. I'll take you through the citation little later, but for now, you can actually just take note of this. Any questions about this? Any doubts? Are you all clear about what we're discussing?
Ma'am, I've seen these superscript kind of thing, numbers.
Yeah.
So that will come in later, right? It won't come in citation.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
You said just one line about this italics thing. Can you just repeat where we have to do the italics?
I have not covered italics yet.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yes, somebody was asking about italics, so I just answered their question. I still have not covered the italics part yet. Okay. Okay, so when nothing is missing, you're mentioning the author's name, you're mentioning the date, title, and source. Is that clear with everybody? You all understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. Then let's say the author's name is missing, but you have the date, title, and the source. You would provide the title, you would provide the date, and you would provide the source. So it's just the title, period, date, period, and source. So that's how you enter the reference if the author's name is missing. Now, if the date is missing, what we usually do is we provide the author's name and we mention n.d, which means no date, and then provide the title and source. So author, period, open parenthesis, n.d, close parenthesis, period, title, period, source. So that's how you mention when the date is missing. All of this is already uploaded there in your Moodle, so you can refer to this little later. You can refer to this later. We're just looking into what we do when each of these elements are missing. Now, when you have the author's name, when you have the date and the source, but you do not know the title, we provide the author and the date, describe the work in the square brackets, and then provide the source. So it's basically author, period, date, period, and then the description of work, whatever that is, period, and then the source. Okay. Sorry. Then if the author and the date are missing, this is how it looks. You mention the title, n dot, d dot, and then the source. If author and the title is missing, you're just mentioning the description of the work, date, and the source. So description could be anything like a write upon the history of psychology or a write upon development. So whatever that is, whatever is describing, you just write a description of it. Yes, Josephine?
I'm just looking at the format. So when I have to write the description of the work, is that in square brackets or? Okay.
Yeah, that has to be in square brackets if you're describing the work. And when you do not have a title, you usually describe the work and then end it with the source. Okay.
So how do you describe a work? Like, you assume what the work is, or how?
Right. So just you're just describing it in a few words, as in you've read through a source, and the source is about the history of psychology. So you're just describing it as history of psychology in a square bracket. That's it. Basically, you're giving a title of it. So author, date, and title missing. Sorry, date and title missing, then you'll mention the author's name, mention that there's no date, description of work, and then the source. And then when author, date, and title are missing, you're just mentioning the description of work in the square bracket, mention that there is no date, and then you mention where your source is. Usually this kind of things are from the internet. Okay. And then when there is just the source and no author, date, and title, you're just citing it as personal communication, meaning probably you have interviewed someone and you want to include that details in your homework. You'll just cite that as personal communication, and then you probably may not enter in the reference list. Okay, so the personal communication citation could be something like this: CC communicator, which is the person that you're talking to, comma, personal communication, and the date. So this is how you cite it. We'll look into citation later, but for now, we'll look into the reference list format. This is how reference lists are made. Any questions about reference lists? Can we move on?
Ma'am, I have one. When we, like, for example, a review article you've given us in the second assignment, and then you want to just refer within that article, not from an outside source, would that also go into this reference list?
Yes, because you are reviewing the article.
Yeah.
Right.
So the similar pattern you mean with.
Yeah.
And silly question maybe, but what's the difference between parenthesis and bracket?
Okay, we call that parenthesis. I mean, you can call it bracket too, but we call it parenthesis.
Yeah, thanks.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
We have a question here. The description of the work, that if you could explain a little, please, it will help.
Okay, now let's say you are referring to a material and you do not know the title of that material. Okay, and so you have to refer it in your resource. Now, how do you refer it? Probably you're describing what that material is. And as I'm reading through, I understood that this material is all about history of psychology. It doesn't have a title. And so my description of the material, for me, according to me, I describe it as history of psychology. So I open a square bracket and I mention that as history of psychology, and I close it with a square bracket. It's just my basic description of what I'm referring to. When you don't have a title, you make a title.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, So I think we've already discussed the first point. Ensure that a period appears after each reference element. When you say reference elements, what are the reference elements that we're talking about?
Author, date, title, and
Author, date, title, and source. So ensure that a period appears after each reference element, meaning author, period, date, period, title, period, source, period. Okay. So that is after the author, date, title, source. Yeah, do not put a period after a DOI or URL. Sometimes if we are using a internet reference, we tend to put a period. But when you're using those periods in the URL, the entire reference is gone. Because if I'm clicking on the URL, then it's not taking me to the place where it is supposed to take me to. So when you're doing something like that, don't put a period after the URL. Use punctuation marks, be it commas or parentheses, between the parts of the same reference element. So if you're using a comma or if you're using a bracket, you're using it within the same reference element. For example, in a reference for a journal article, use a comma between each author's last name and initials, and between different authors' names, between the journal name and the volume number, and between the journal issue number and the page numbers. Do not use a comma between the journal volume and issue numbers. Okay, this is too much for you all to take it. What it says is, now when you're using commas, or if you're using a parenthesis, let's say I am referring to a source which has two or more authors. Now when I'm talking about an element, it is the author element only. So when I'm talking about author element, I can use commas in the author element, or I can use parentheses in the author element. Is that making sense? Are you all understanding what I'm saying? But you're not putting comma between author element and date. You're not putting comma between date and title. Okay, so every element, reference element, is separated by a period. Now, if you're using comma only within that element. Could be author element, it could be a date element, or it could be a title element. But you're not putting commas between two different elements. Making sense? Are you all understanding? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Italicize punctuation marks that appear within an italic reference. So usually we italicize the source. Now you have to italicize the punctuation marks as well. Okay, be it a comma or a colon or whatever that is, you're italicizing all of that if it is coming within the italicized part of the reference. Do not italicize punctuation between the reference elements. So if there is a punctuation between the author element and the date element, let's say period, you're not italicizing that. Are you understanding? We're not italicizing between the reference elements. Okay, the period after an italic book title, you're not italicizing that period. Are you all understanding what I'm saying? Any questions about it?
Ma'am, it is not so clear. Can you please give one example? Is it possible?
Yeah, usually you are italicizing the the book. Okay, now when I'm italicizing the book title, I am also ending it with a period, right? After the book title, there is a full stop that I'm putting. Now, this full stop should not be italicized. If I'm writing the author, now when I'm writing a reference, I am writing the author's name, full stop, date, full stop, title, full stop, and source. Now, usually I am italicizing the book title. Okay. So when I'm doing that, I am separating it with a full stop. So you are not italicizing that full stop, which is between two reference elements. You can italicize within the italicized title, but after that, you're not italicizing it. Is that making any sense? Are you all understanding what we're talking over here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'll probably show you an example. Okay, let's forget about this volume numbers and all of that. Let's just say that, I've mentioned author, Bhutto, SV, and Ruchat, and then year, then sensitivity to evaluation of others emerges by 24 months. Then there is a full stop over here. And then I closed it with developmental psychology. Now that's it. Let's forget about all of this extension, okay? It's just developmental psychology. Now, after this, I probably will put a full stop because you're putting full stops after every reference element. That's you're putting a period after every reference element. Now, when I'm putting a period after every reference element, I probably may italicize this also. If you notice, developmental psychology is italicized. Are you all observing that?
Yes.
Yeah. So, post the italicized part, the period is not inclusive of it. A period between, sensitivity to evaluation of others emerges by 24 months, and then there is a period over there. Now, that period is also not italicized. After that, developmental psychology has started in an italicized form. So, the period is not italicized after or, before the italicized part. Probably I can use a comma between developmental comma psychology if it requires. That's an example that I'm giving. But you can't italicize punctuation before and after the two reference elements. Yes, Josephine.
No. So ideally, we said the entire source needs to be italicized, right? But in this example, only development psychology 54, only that part is italicized. The rest of it is also part of the source, right? So why is that not italicized?
Because that's a URL. If you notice,
and the one between the number 1723 to 1734.
Usually that has to be italicized, but I'm not sure why it is not. But usually we'll get to the italicized part a little later. Okay, there has to be italicized. Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am, after the ULR, that there is no period, no, ma'am? Is it okay?
We should not use a period after the URL because the entire direction will, it will be redirected to a different source. So when you're using a URL, all of these periods and forward slashes, all of these are coded into it. So when you're using a period, then it's a different code.
Ma'am, could you explain the 54.9, or you'll be coming to it later?
Okay. Well, can the title be put in italic format?
Can the title
be put in an italic format?
Usually that is what it is, but then yes, I'll tell you when you italicize what. But for now, what we're understanding is we're not italicizing between two reference elements.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll move on. Now, these are different examples, like when information is missing, how you enter your reference list. Okay. And punctuation within the reference list is something that we looked into. Accuracy and consistency in references. One purpose of listing references is to enable readers to retrieve and use the cited works. Reference data must be accurate and complete. Consistency in reference formatting allows readers to focus on the content of your reference list, discerning both types of works you consulted and the important reference elements: who, when, what, and where, with these. So accuracy and consistency of references are also important for ensuring that other researchers can find and access the works in your reference list. Yeah. Did you have a question, Doctor? Okay. Okay. Now, we looked into the reference elements. Let's first start with the author element. When you're talking about the author element, it can be an individual, it can be a group of people, or it can be a group, which is an institution, a government agency, or an organization. For example, American Psychological Association, it's an organization, right? So an author can be an individual, it can be multiple authors, it can be a group, or a combination of people and groups. Now, there are certain guidelines how we have to mention their names in the reference list. Now, we're only looking at the author element. Invert all individual authors' names, providing the surname first. So, whatever their surname is, we start with their surname. That's what we looked into in the previous example also, right? Here, they have a surname. This is the name is Sara Valencia Bhutto, but then what we mentioned in the reference list is Bhutto as the surname, followed by the initials. Okay. Did you understand that? Yeah. So you are mentioning the author's surname first, followed by a comma, and the initials. It could be whatever their initials is. Now, there it is SL. So your surname, comma, S dot L. So that's how you mention the author's name. Use a comma to separate an author's initials from additional authors' names. Even when there are only two authors, use an ampersand before the final author's name. So author, comma, initials, comma, author, comma, initials. And then if there are more authors, like if there are three authors, you're just if there are two authors, you're using ampersand between the two authors. If there are three authors, you're using a comma for the first two authors and an ampersand for the third author. Did you understand that? Am I confusing it? I hope you understood.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. Do not.
Sorry, I just have another question.
Yes.
So basically, we're saying if the name is P.A. Jonathan, for example, then you write Jonathan, comma P.A., right?
Yes.
But what if the name is Jonathan P.A.?
Jonathan?
Like, basically, we're saying if it's P.A. Jonathan, then the name will be Jonathan.P.A.
Now, okay, when the name is P.A. Jonathan, what is the person's surname here?
P.A, I'm guessing. I'm not so sure. Like, I'm just giving you an example. Like,
yeah, usually the surnames are, are followed by the person's first name and the middle name, right? First name, middle name, and then the surname, or first name, second name, and the surname, right? So the surname will come first, and then you make the first name and the middle name as initials.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What if they don't have a surname, ma'am?
Usually they put a surname like that. If they don't have a surname, I don't know. Let's see what I think yeah. Yeah, probably that is true. That's true. Some people they don't use surnames at all. That's true. I think I'll look into it. Like what do we usually mention the author's name then. That's it. And then the comma. Somebody was asking something. Okay. So you are using a comma to separate two group authors, meaning there is American Psychological Association and then National Institutes of Health. So you're just separating it. You don't you're using the full name, okay? American Psychological Association and National Institutes of Health. Now use a serial comma between ampersand with three or more authors, okay? Use one space between initials. When given names are hyphenated, retain the hyphen and include a period after each initial, but no space. Okay, example, there's a Chinese name that's given over here, and then the Chinese name is Ai Jun Shu, which is hyphenated name. Okay, so what we do is we are keeping it with the hyphen, but then we are also keeping it with a period. So Chu is the last name, and then A, which is the first name, it is now ended with a period, and then you're also retaining the hyphen over there. Okay, so that's how you write with hyphenated names. Now, when the second element of the hyphenated name is lowercase, treat it as a single name. Okay, like this. When you're seeing that Lee and then the second name is starting with the lowercase. There's no uppercase over here, but then it is hyphenated. This is how you use it. Just the last name, comma, Lee, and then period. You're not mentioning the second name over there. Now use commas to, one second. Use commas to separate initials and suffixes, just as junior and 3, which is this, or the. So I have something to talk about it. Then in the last class, we were talking something related to this thing. I want to clarify that probably towards the end. So you just separating it with commas, okay? When you have suffixes like this, you just separate it with comma. Okay. Is that clear with everybody? Any questions about how you enter the order element?
It seems a little complex at the moment, but I'm sure after we do 2-3 times, probably it'll get easier.
Yeah.
I think we should do literally a demo of the whole thing.
Right.
That's when we'll probably understand.
Right. Yeah. We can do that probably. We can practice it, but let's just finish the elements first, and then probably we'll do it.
Ma'am, there's this number 3 Roman and a hyphen. So what is that in the last line?
Okay, these are suffixes for the names. Okay, sometimes people will have John number 3, or let's say John Junior. Okay, so these are all suffixes that they use in their name. So use commas to separate initials and suffixes. Now that's what you see: order, comma, their initials, comma, and then the suffix.
That Roman number 3 is not put anywhere, right?
Yeah, Roman number 3, if you're using that, then it is, you're separating it with a comma. That's what they're trying to say over there.
So the colon is not anything there.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, 1 minute. Let me see where I'm. So we finished the order element, and we're moving to the date element. Jasmine is wondering who invented this style. American Psychological Association invented this style, Jasmine. APA. Okay. So how do we do the date element? After the order element, it is followed by the date element. So how do we do the date element? So you can refer to chapter 10. It's there in Moodle. You can refer to chapter 10 to see how it is included. So most references include only the year of publication. You don't have to mention the entire date as in 29th July 2025. You can just mention, the year, which is 2025. Enclose the date of publication in parentheses, which is also called as brackets, okay, the curved brackets, and followed by a period, which is shown over here. Okay, open bracket 2020, close bracket, and then the period. That's one example that is given to you. Okay, so that's how you usually enter the date element. We usually enter the year. For works from a reference category that includes the month, day, season along with the year, put the year first. If it requires to, you're putting the year first, followed by a comma, then the month and date or the season, like this. So in the reference category, which includes the month, day, if you are including the month and day and the season, you'll just include the year first, comma, August 26th. Okay, or if you're just mentioning the season, it is the year, comma, spring/summer, and then close the parenthesis and then the period. Okay, is that clear? Are you all understanding? Okay,
so when do we decide we have to add the date or without the date?
Usually we just mention the year, but if you want to add the date, you can do that. But usually we mention the year. Just the year is sufficient. Yeah. Sometimes if the author has 2 different publications in the same year, then probably you can add the date, extensive date. For unpublished, informally published, or in progress works, provide the year the work was produced. Okay. Do not use in progress or submitted for publication in the date element of the reference. So sometimes if you're referring to something which is not published yet, something which is in the progress of being published, you're not writing that as in progress or submitted for publication. You're just mentioning the date element of a reference, which is the year it was produced, the work was produced. If the work has been accepted for publication but is not yet published, use the term in press instead of a year. So if the work is accepted for publication, you can use. So usually you don't require these kind of information because student submissions are usually referring to a published material. We don't encourage students to refer to an unpublished material. So you don't really require this information. But if you are referring to something which is not published, that's how you follow. You mention that year it was produced, and if the material is accepted for publication and is not published yet, you probably will mention that as in press instead of the year. Do not provide a date in the reference until the work has been published. If a work is an advanced online publication, use the year of advanced online publication in the reference. If the work includes both an advanced online publication date and a final publication date, use the final publication date in the reference. So this you don't really have to look into. All that we need to look into is the year. So that's how you mention it in the reference list. Is that clear with the date element? Did you all understand about author element? How do you mention the author element in the reference list? How do we mention the author element in the reference list?
The author's surname.
Author surname.
Followed by his middle name and his first name and initials.
Yeah, comma, and then the initials of the first name and the middle name. That's it.
Period in between the initials.
Yes, period between the initials. So surname, comma, initials of the first name and the second name or the middle name, and then the period. Okay. So some works are reviewed from, an online source. So some online works note when a work was last updated. So if this date is available and is clearly attributable to the specific content you are citing, rather than the overall website, use the updated date in the reference. So some online sources, they keep updating the information over there and they keep changing the date. So if you're referring to an online source, mention the updated date over there in the database. Okay, do not include a date of last review in a reference because content that has been reviewed has not necessarily been changed. So if the date of the last review is noted on a work, ignore it for the purpose of reference. Okay. And when there is no date, we looked into how we mention when there is a no date. So sometimes the publication date of a work is unknown or cannot be determined. And for such sources, you're using N period D period, which is no date. It stands for no date in the parenthesis. So instead of the year, you're mentioning N period D period in the parenthesis. Put a period after N and after D with no space between the letters. Okay. For example, you're mentioning the author's name, period, then parenthesis open, N period, D period, close parenthesis, and then the period. Okay, the date also appears as N dot D dot in the corresponding in-text citation too. So even if you're citing the resource, you'll just mention it in the same way. Is that making sense? Are you all understanding? When there is a no date. Okay. So we finished the order element, we finished the date element. Now we're coming to the title element. Okay, now follow these guidelines to follow the title. Okay, for works that are part of a greater whole. So journal articles, edited book chapters, do not italicize the title or use quotation marks and capitalizing it using sentence case. Okay, now let's say this is the title, The Virtue Gap and Humor, Exploring Benevolent and Corrective Humor. Okay, for works that stand alone, meaning the books, reports, web pages, and websites, italicize the title and capitalize it using sentence case. If you're using books, if you're using reports, if you're using web pages and websites, you're italicizing the title and you're capitalizing it using a sentence case. So you're completely capitalizing it using a sentence case. So you can refer to section 6.17 for examples like how it looks. Okay. I'm sorry, I could not type in the actual example. Let me show you the actual example. 1 minute. Are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you able to see Moodle page?
No, we're able to see only a PPT.
No.
Okay, fine. Give me 1 minute, please. I think the internet is taking time to load, so I'll just show the example a little later. For book and report references, enclose in parentheses after the title any additional information given in the publication for its identification and retrieval. So if you're using a book or if you're using a report references, you're enclosing it in parentheses after the title and any additional information given in the publication for its identification and retrieval. For example, you're talking about which edition it is. It is 11th edition or 12th edition, or you're talking about the report number or volume number. You will enclose all of that details in parentheses, which is brackets, okay, after you mention the title. Okay, all of this is additional information. So after the title, you'll just open a parenthesis and then mention the edition number, report number, volume number. Do not add a period between the title and the parenthetical information. So let's say the name of the book is, The Virtue Gap in Humor, Exploring Benevolent and Corrective Humor. And it is 11th edition of the book. So I open a parenthesis and then I put 11th edition, but I'm not adding a period between the title and the parenthetical information. Is that making sense? Are you understanding what I'm saying? Any questions about it?
Please repeat it again.
Yeah. So when I'm talking about, I'm using a book and then I'm adding additional information. Now, this additional information can be the edition. Edition is as in the 11th edition or 12th edition or 6th edition, 5th edition, like whatever the version of the book is. All of that is additional information, right? So, or if I'm just using the volume number or the report number, all of these are additional information. So if I'm using any additional information besides the title of the book or besides the title, I'll mention all these additional information in a bracket. Okay, like for example, I'm using the name of now this is the name of the title. Are you able to see my cursor, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah. So the virtue gap in humor, exploring benevolent and corrective humor. And then I open a bracket over here and I mention 11th edition. Now, when I'm doing that, I don't have to put a period over there between the bracketed information, between the parenthetical information. Okay. I just open a bracket, and I'll mention 11th edition over there. Okay, this is the example that it is given over here. See, nursing, a concept-based approach to learning, and then there is no period. I'm just simply opening the bracket. I'm mentioning second edition, volume 1, close bracket, and then followed by a period. Are you understanding? Are you able to see the example?
Okay.
Yeah, so the title, then open bracket, then the additional information, second edition, volume 1, close bracket, and then the period.
Now, full stop after the closing bracket.
Yes. Okay, so this is all title element. We're talking about the title, and we finished the order element, we finished the date element. Now we're moving on to the title element. Now, what do we do in title element? If you have additional information, I will open a parenthesis, mention all that parenthetical information, close the parenthesis, and then end it with the period. But I'll not put a period between the title and the parenthetical information. All of this is related to the title only. Is that clear?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So do not add a period between the title and the parenthetical information. Do not italicize the parenthetical information. If both edition and volume information are included, separate these elements with comma, placing the edition number first. And that's the reason why in that example, somebody was asking, why is it not italicized? It is not italicized because it is additional information, like which volume. So we're not italicizing that. Is that making sense? Okay, we don't italicize the edition number and we don't italicize the volume number. If both edition and volume information are included, separate these elements with comma, placing the edition number first. If you're adding edition and volume information, you're separating that information with a comma, and then you're placing the edition number first, followed by the volume number. If a numbered volume has its own title, the volume number and title are included as part of the main title rather than in parenthesis. So if the numbered volume has its own title, then I'm mentioning that title as the main title rather than in the parenthesis. I don't mention it in the brackets. I mention it as the main title. Finish the title element with a period. However, if the title ends with a question mark or exclamation point, that punctuation mark replaces the period. So if at all, if the title has a question mark or if it has an exclamatory mark, exclamation point, you will not close the title element with the period. Instead, you will close it with that punctuation mark, be it an exclamation point or a question mark. You're just closing it with that punctuation mark. Is that clear? Please refer to section 6.17. I wanted to show it from my end, but I think the internet is lagging. I'm not able to open it quickly, but if I have time, probably I'll show it at the end of the class. So section 6.17 is already uploaded in Moodle. So please refer to that for examples. Is that clear, everybody?
Ma'am, coming back to that other question which I had, like 56 bracket, what is that, ma'am?
So that's the additional information. It's like, you know, the yeah. This is just the additional information of it. So we're not italicizing these numbers.
Yeah, but what is, like, I can understand
the page number,
that is page
the
numbers,
section, the page numbers and the URLs. Yeah.
So 54.9 would be a page number.
So volume number 54. Volume is 54. Number 9 could be a section and then the page numbers followed by the page numbers.
Thank you.
Yeah. So titles of works and headings within works. if you're referring to something like that, APA style uses two types of capitalization for titles of works and headings within works, which is title case and sentence case. There are two ways how your titles of the headings are used. In title case, major words are capitalized. Okay. In sentence case, most words are lowercase. Okay. Now, nouns, verbs, including the linking verbs, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, all words of 4 letters or more are considered as major words. Now, short words, which are if, at, the, all these 3-letter words or fewer, conjunctions of, short prepositions in, and all the articles are considered as minor words. So when you're talking about title case, major words are capitalized, and when you're talking about sentence case, most words are lowercase. Okay. Now, title case. In title case, capitalize the following words in a title or a heading. The first word, even a minor word such as the, you're capitalizing the letter of every word. Okay. The first word, 1 second. You're capitalizing the first letter of every word. So even if it is a minor word, the first word after a colon or M dash or in end punctuation in a heading, even if it is a minor word, major words, including the second part of the hyphenated major words. For example, you're talking about self-report. You're mentioning self and then R as capitalized and not self hyphen and then small r. Is that making sense? Are you all with me? So this is all about headings. We're looking at the headings, how you put the headings, okay? And for words of 4 letters or more, you'll still use, if it is with, if it is between, if it is from, you're still using capital letters for every word. The first letter of every word will be capitalized. Okay. Now, if there is a series or multi-volume works, meaning for a book that is part of multi-volume works such as a handbook comprising 3 volumes, include the series title in the reference list. Okay, let's say when a book is a part of series of conceptually related but separate works, for example, book series such as Harry Potter or Chronicles of Narnia, include only the book title, not the series title in the reference. You're just including the book title. Now, depending on the publisher and the series name may be either prominent or hard to find. Therefore, we recommend omitting it to avoid confusion. Is that clear? Are you all understanding? Okay. So for works without a title, include a description of the work in the square bracket, okay, instead. So you actually looked into it. Now the example is when specify the medium in the description of the untitled work. Example, a map. Rather than including 2 bracketed descriptions like map showing the population density of the United States as of the year 2020. Instead of doing this, you can just specify it as a map. Okay, that is a description. Are you understanding? When you're talking about, referring to a source which doesn't have a title, you can mention the description in a square bracket. Okay, so when possible, specify the medium in the description of the untitled work. Example, you just mention it as a map. That's the description. Rather than including 2 bracketed descriptions, which is map showing the population density of the United States of the year 2010. For untitled comments on periodical articles, include up to first 20 words of the comment or post in addition to a description. Okay, if you're just using the comments, you can just include the first 20 words of the comments or post in addition to a description. For untitled social media posts, Include up to first 20 words of the comment or post. You don't really have to look into these because these are all untitled, and as student submissions, we recommend you to follow, yeah, to survey or to look to refer to only those that are published. Okay, we highly recommend only published material than unpublished material. This is more towards people who are researching, and if they are finding resources and they're not able to find particular title, probably they can do this. But mostly it is you're asked to refer to published material. Now, format of the source element, like whatever you're referring to, it all has a source. Okay, the source element of a reference has one or two parts depending on the reference category. For example, the source for a print book without a DOI has one part, the book publisher. However, the source for a journal article will have a DOI and has two parts, the periodical information, journal title, volume number, issue number, page range, or article number. Now, that's the example that we saw. Okay, it has a periodical information, which is the journal title, and then it has a volume number, it has an issue number, and then it has a page range or article number, and then the DOI, okay, which is the URL. Now, information in the source may be omitted from the reference to avoid repetition. Namely, when the author and the publisher or the site of a book, report, webpage, or website are the same, you omit it in the source element. If the author and the source element has the same person, okay, you omit it in the source. The publisher or site name is omitted from the source element. Okay, for guidance on formatting the source for particular reference categories, you just refer to 9.25 section and 9.33 sections. All of this is uploaded in Moodle. Okay, so usually your source element is the publisher's name and the location. That's the source element if you're referring to the book. If you're not referring to a book and if you're referring to a journal article, then the source element will be the journal title, the volume number of it, and the issue number. Eunice was actually asking about what is 57.9. 57.9 is the volume number and the issue number and the page range or the article number. Okay, I think we will take a break and then come back. Do you want to take a break and come back in 5 minutes? It took a very long time. Yeah, you all can come back by 9:15. Okay, are we all back?
Yes, ma'am, we are here.
Okay. I will open a Word document right now. And we can try practicing it over there. Okay. Is the page visible to everybody? Are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
It's a blank page.
sorry?
It's a blank page.
Yes, it is. Okay. Yeah, so what do we do when you are starting your reference? Are we starting it in a fresh page or are we just continuing from the text? What's the rule?
We title it as references list,
Okay, references.
center align.
Did you say references list?
Yes.
Okay, is that references list or is it references?
References.
Just references.
It's just references.
They're just references. Okay. I wrote
With all
references.
capitals.
Capital bold.
Capital bold. Okay. Okay, capital bold. Then
Double space.
Any second line. The spacing is to double space.
Okay. But where am I doing the spacing though?
You select it do it for the whole page right now.
Okay, I'll do it for the whole page. So is this how it is supposed to be?
Centered.
No, center align.
Yeah.
Centered aligned. Okay. Then the entire page is going to be double spaced. Okay. Then
you start writing.
okay. So what do I do? Give me the author's name. Yeah, give me one author's name, please.
Left align. It's left align, but there's another word that you use. I can't get that. Remember the word.
Yeah, flush left.
Yeah, flush
Flush
left.
left.
And then you go for the
Mm.
surname, say Sigmund Freud. So you write Freud and then you put Sigmund.
Freud. I
Dot
put Sigmund.
Dot S.
Should be
And
dot.
then
Sigmund, or what is it?
S. Only the initial.
Only the initial. That's it?
And
Dot.
a dot after the S.
Okay. Is that correct?
S has to be capital.
S has to be capital. Okay. Then is this correct?
There has to be a space between the apostrophe and the S.
Space or okay. Is
single
that
space.
correct? Yeah. Is that correct? Is that correct now? Now what do we do after this? So the other element is over, Sigmund Freud, then followed
Then you
by
year or date.
okay. What is the year that I put?
You put in parenthesis.
I put it in parentheses. Okay. What is the year?
1864.
1864. Okay.
Close the parenthesis.
I close the parenthesis. All right. And
Then put a period.
then put a period. Okay. Okay, so the other element is over, date element is over. Anything else that I need to look into?
Title.
Okay, what should the title be? Anything that I need to correct over there?
It's not visible on my thing.
After the period, is there a space?
Yeah. Okay, space. Then should there be any space over here?
Yeah.
Anything else that is missing that you must tell me?
Is it to do with the prefix, I mean, doctor or something like that?
No. Should this
It's
be
not
bold?
supposed to be bold. It's not supposed to be bold.
It's not
It's
supposed
not supposed to be bold.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Ma'am, what about serial numbers? Do we list if there are 5 references?
No, we're not putting any serial numbers. Like you're talking about number 1, number 2, number 3.
Yes,
No,
yes.
no,
Okay.
we're not using serial numbers.
Thank you. History of Psychology. Put the title.
Okay.
Period.
Psychology in capital because it's title.
Capital P, ma'am.
So, capital P. And then what else?
Then the
Source.
source.
Sorry, what was that?
The source.
Yes, what should I mention in the source?
Journal of Psychology.
Journal of Psychology, fine.
In italics.
In italics.
Okay, but actually this has to be in italics.
No, the name of the journal, ma'am.
I think actually this has to be in italics. Give me 1 minute. We actually looked into the title part, right? So when you're talking about the title, when you're talking about books, when you're talking about reports, web pages, or websites, you're italicizing the title if it is a book. And if it is a journal article that you're referring to, then probably you will italicize the journal article. The example that you saw over there is a journal article that we were referring to earlier. And that's the reason why they italicized the journal, name of the journal. But if you're referring to a book, if you're referring to a report, if you're referring to any website, is usually you're italicizing the title and you're capitalizing it using the sentence case. Is that clear to everybody?
Ma'am, source should be in second next line, ma'am.
No. Now this is a very short, now if you notice, this is actually a short length. Okay,
Right.
the name is small, the title is small, the source is small. So it just came in 1 line. Now let's say it's just going on. I'm just typing randomly like this. Now it has gone to the second line too, correct? 1 minute. Let's just continue typing. Yeah, it's gone to the second line, right? Now, when it is going to the second line, what do I do?
0.5 indent.
There is a
0.5 indent.
yeah.
Tab it.
Sorry. Okay, the tab is actually going for the full length of it.
No, you enter it, no, from there, and then probably the tab will work.
Yeah. So this is how it's supposed to be. Okay. So all of this is double spaced. And if it is flowing to the second line, whatever is coming into the second line, it has to be indented with 0.5 inches. Is that clear?
And we continue with the double space?
Yes. And we
Okay.
continue with the double space for the second reference. You're again coming back to the left, flushing left. Start the first line with the flush left. And then if it requires, if it is flowing down to the second line, then you give a 0.5 indentation. And you don't use any serial number.
Ma'am, here still the margins would be 2.54.
Yes. The
It will
margin
remain
is
still for all
yes.
pages.
Yes. The margin, sorry, the margin is still, where's the layout? It's still going to be 2.54 for everything.
And can you add the volume number and page number along
Sure.
with this?
Yeah. Let's just say that, this is actually a journal article. Okay. Now, you don't have to italicize it because it is a journal article. And then what are we doing? We are italicizing the followed by, I'm not italicizing this. So it's 12th edition something, comma, volume 1, and then I close the bracket. If it is, and then if it has a page number, then probably I'll add page number like what it mentioned. Something like that. With, okay, again, the same problem. Something like that. And then I close it.
Ma'am, is there a period between the Journal of Psychology and the parenthesis?
No, there's no period. I close the period after I finish the source. All of this is actually the source element. So this entire thing is one section. So I am separating reference elements with a period. So I don't put period within the reference element. I can separate it with parentheses. I can separate it with, okay.
What about between the page number and the volume number? Do we have to put a comma or just continue?
Yes, you're putting a comma. You're separating it with a comma, but you're not putting a period over there.
Got it.
Ma'am, can you explain when and to use the italics and when not to use the italics?
Yeah, you're using italics usually for books, for any web source, usually books and web source and anything that you get from the internet. But if you're using a journal article, you'll italicize the journal title than the article title. Okay. For example, here in this previous example that you saw, let me show you that again. If you're able to see this, this is actually an article from a journal, right? So when if you notice, the title is sensitivity to the evaluation of others emerge by 24 months. That's the title of the article, but we are italicizing the journal title, developmental psychology. That's what so when you're using articles, you italicize the journal title. If you're using a book, you're italicizing the book's title. Okay. So I think there's more to cover. So probably we will be doing it the next week as well. English and study methods, and you will also have a brief orientation about what the scores is. I mean, what you can expect from the scores and the do's and the don'ts and the regulation of this, the course, about Coursera, about MLCU, about the grading system. So you'll have a brief orientation about all of that the next week, along with a, a part of citation. And with citation, we'll be closing the class. So yeah, that's about it. So people who have questions with regarding to your assignments or in general, you can stay back. And people who are, I mean, the rest of you all are free to go. Before you leave, let me just take a screenshot of today's attendance. Just 1 minute, people. I'm sorry about that. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Those of you who have questions, you can stay back. The rest of you can leave. Have a good night. I'll see you all next Tuesday.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, hi.
Ma'am, I had a lot of problems getting into login. By the way, I got it done and I can log in easily. So I need more time to prepare my assignments.
Okay.
Can you give an extended due date?
Okay.
Is it possible, ma'am? Only the first time I'm asking you. I will not take you for granted.
No, we'll look into it. I think what about others?